Roy West, Business Manager at Labor's Local 576 here in Louisville. We are with the Labor's International Union of North America. At this time, I'd like to introduce Larry Tabor, President, International Field Rep for the International Union, Labor's Union. And at this time, Larry, where you at?
Thank you.
Well, I kind of got a cold and my voice is not real strong, or I try to raise the roof off this local today. But I'm more than proud to stand here in front of the members of Local 576 and represent all the members in the state of Kentucky and endorse Bruce Lunsford for Congress. You know, health care is a main issue to our families, pensions, economy, gas prices, and it's time for a change in Washington, D.C. It is time. We've got to have people like Bruce Lunsford that'll work for us, listen to us, and help our families. And I've met with Bruce several times, and Bruce is committed to the working families in the state of Kentucky. And I do fully believe that he will help us in our endeavors in the state of Kentucky. At this time, I'd like to introduce Bruce Lunsford.
Thanks, guys. Larry, I appreciate that. Roy, I appreciate that very much. And we have spent several days together over the last year or so. And this is another, I think, in an example of how this campaign is pulling together the working class of Kentucky to take on a senator that's been sitting there for 24 years and has not done much to deliver for the working class of Kentucky. He said no to many things that are important to these people. They want to have jobs. They want to have high-paying jobs. They want to have an opportunity to live the American dream. And you know, I grew up in a union household with a father that had to drive almost 2 hours each way to his job so he could afford to buy a small farm. And I understand what it is to want to aspire to live the American dream. And I had the fortune to do that. And everybody in this room today wants to see their children and their grandchildren have opportunities that are being taken away by an administration and by a senator who constantly feed the top and constantly take away from the middle of America. And it's a great honor for me, and I'm humbled by this endorsement because I can't wait to have the opportunity to carry the torch for the people who keep this country alive and well. And I've always lived by a standard that people in America, they never begrudge people doing well, but they really do begrudge greed and indifference. And that's what you've seen over and over again the last 8 years of this administration and the last 6 years of our senator. I've heard it said that that this race is not about the last 24 years from Mitch McConnell, and it's about the next 6. Well, if you look at what's happened the last 6, another 6 like this will have a country that probably can't recover. We've already lost 40% of the value of the dollar. We've already got a situation where the deficit in this country is now $9 trillion, 83% of which has been accumulated by the last 3 Republican presidents. And you have a situation where when I was at Jack Coleman's Home Center the other day, where the small family-owned business is suffering, having a difficult time making it, having a hard time continuing to have employees that have health insurance, that can afford to drive back and forth, that can afford to have extra money so that they can take their children on vacations, that they can have a life that's not just about living from paycheck to paycheck. And I've always been a believer that the middle class of America carries this country. You know, my dad fought in World War II. He was part of America's greatest generation, as Tom Brokaw talks about. And you know, we lived 5 years of my life without indoor plumbing. And my dad loved America. And my dad used to say that America is the one place in the world where you can go from the outhouse to the penthouse. And I believe that's true. But that is not a route you can take very easily in this environment that's been created the last 8 years. And we're in wars that are sometimes hard to comprehend. And it's difficult to believe that we've lost 4,000 American soldiers in Iraq and have nearly 30,000 soldiers that are injured, many of which with life-lasting injuries. Probably 50% are going to wind up at some point being on some form of disability, maybe more. I just think the indifference that we have had from this administration has got to stop. And democratic policies need to be reinitiated for this country. And I look forward to being part of a change, because in November we are going to have a Democratic president elected, and we're going to have a Senate that is going to be Democratic controlled, and we're going to have a House that's going to be Democratic controlled. And we will begin to see America in the kind of shape that many of us when we were younger saw. And you know, Al Franken had a pretty good quote the other day. He said that Republicans live year to year by convincing people that government doesn't work, and then they get elected and prove it. And I think that's what you could say about this administration pretty easily. And the other thing that I've learned is that if you want to live like a Republican, you better vote Democratic. So this is an election that we all look forward to, and I guess now 12 days, we have a primary, May 20th. A primary that's going to be important in this state because we are going to have a presidential race at issue, and we're going to have a Senate race at issue for November. This is a very important year for America, and it's a very important year for Kentucky. And I look forward for the next several months of seeing that we get a Democratic president elected and a Democratic senator from the state of Kentucky. Thank you very much. I appreciate all this. And thank you, guys. Thank you.